Where I started. Peace and love. So I recently have been dealing with a line of events that I wanted to document, and I was advised to document them. And right now, I feel like one of the best ways to do that is to record it, and I can come back and possibly journal and write some of these things down. Um, so just a little history about myself. I'm pretty sure that anyone who has access to this video initially is someone who knows me, but feel free to share this with anyone else who may deal with similar issues, or that you may identify as similar issues to mine, because it may be a helpful video. Um, so I'll say I've been a community organizer for about 10 years. I started organizing in Rome, Georgia, which is my hometown. Um, Initially, when I started Project Black Movement, it was a movement that was a community organization for the Black community, of course, because I felt like we dealt with a lot of different issues that other ethnic groups haven't experienced. Um, I think one of the things that kind of brought me to that realization was the Trayvon Martin incident, and then seeing some of the incidents just with people that I grew up with in my own hometown become victims of violence, and trying to understand the root of the violence, because I myself have boys that I know someday has to grow up in that community. And I know, just if something doesn't change, then one of my children can be an innocent bystander, or even get involved in some of the issues that are going on in my community. So my thought pattern was, let me get involved in the community. Let me learn. Let me figure out what the problem is so that we can create solutions. And I came up with Project Black Movement, and thought this is a great way to create programs and to create opportunities, especially for people who were in my age group. At the time, I was a middle age, young age adult, and I thought it was good. We had workshops, gardening workshops, we had arts and craft workshops. Then we started my Tribal Academy, which was the African Center Homeschool Co-op, which I believe was one of our most successful programs, because we had a lot of support from parents who also agreed that they did not like the curriculum that the public schools um, are giving our Black children. Um, a lot of the curriculum in the public schools, when you understand the psychological warfare in the Black community and the prison to pipeline structure, you begin to understand that they're programming, they're indoctrinating, they're setting these children up to enter into the prisons. From the routine, from the authoritative and disciplinary actions. And I'm saying that because I've been around African centered educators, and they don't discipline children the way that you would be educated or trained to do so in the public schools. That's because even with Black teachers, they're becoming trained through Eurocentric education. So disciplinary actions go from having police snatch your children up in the school when they don't obey, or they're having a very bad day, and Black children go through a struggle too, where they deal with anxiety, they're dealing with stress, depression, they're coming from broken households, poverty, domestic violence households, all type of things that weigh down on them, that they deal with, that a lot of people don't consider. They just see a child acting up and they're like, this child is just needs their ass whooped. And African centered, of course, teaches you Maya, it teaches you that you do not harm children. So they have a whole way that you discipline children that is holistic versus doing what was instilled in us, which came from the slave masters. So when our children are learning from a place that teaches violence, like the history in European culture, the history teaches violence. All it teaches you about is wars and a few white founders of things, right? And then they teach you about slavery. Their literacy is all Eurocentric. Okay, so we're not learning anything about us. And that's very important because we as people need to know how to connect with our culture, our nature, and who we are. When we can't find the value in ourselves, it creates low self-esteem. It creates a lot of self-hate that our children can't love themselves and love each other because they don't know how to. If they're not even seeing it in the homes and their families, and we sending them to school for 7 to 8 hours a day for 12 years, 13 years, and all they're learning is Eurocentric history and literacy, do you understand the damage that does to their soul? Because they have no way of identifying themselves by the time they go out into this world. They still don't know what they're supposed to do. And the miseducation of the Negro teaches that in public schools, they're teaching the children, the Black children, to be owned and the white children to be the owners. And this is why we're still in this cycle of poverty. This is why we're still in this cycle where there is a wealth gap in our communities because we don't even know where to put our money into our communities for the needs of our own survival. So it's very important for us to start there in education. I find that sometimes it's hard to even get to adults to understand that concept and that we have to relearn the way we think about ourselves and each other and our culture. And we need to learn the culture so that we can learn how to heal and go back to where we came from. Sankofa, go back and get it. So that was one of the most successful programs that we had. We also passed out waters and fruit bags to the youth during the summer to keep them hydrated because they're out there all day. Ain't nobody, the mamas, dads working, whatever. Ain't nobody making sure these babies don't overheat. So we're passing stuff out to them during the summer, as well as the houseless community. We've provided mutual aid to the houseless community and to communities in areas like East Rome projects. We go set up tables and have food and resources, especially around the time of COVID, because we understood people couldn't always get out of the house. We went door to door and checked on elders because we understood, like, we're in the middle of COVID. Everybody can't get access to get around. In our hometown, they actually decrease the funds for transportation and education and put more funds into the police department, which is a huge issue because we don't need more authoritative figures in our community. We need more people who can create solutions to make the community better, that can provide those programs, those workshops to children, to adults, so that they can improve themselves and their ways of living. And the system exploits our miseducation. They exploit our ignorance and they profit off of it. That's why that prison to pipeline structure is there. They profit off of our ignorance. They're never going to teach us who we are. They're never going to teach us how to invest in ourselves. They're never going to teach us how to unify. Even in the public schools, they're real competitive. They want you in sports to compete with each other. They never teach you unity. They never teach you stick together. They don't want you to stick together. They start you psychologically at war with yourself and your own people from the time you enter into the public school. So moving on, I just wanted to give some history about the Project Black movement. We've had up to 14 programs, but some of those are, like I said, the most successful programs. And around 2020, I was one of the organizers for the national protest for the George Floyd protest. I organized with a few comrades nationally, and that protest was something that went all the way across to other countries who stood in solidarity with us. Not just me personally, but all of the comrades and people who decided to stand in solidarity in that day, which that protest went national. They had riots in Atlanta. They tried to put the riots on me because I was there providing mutual aid as well as letting the people know, because the police were coming down the blocks with the rubber bullets and gas, and I'm like, hey, they can't just come down here and do this because y'all protesting. Like, you have a right to demonstrate and use your voice and practice your beliefs, right? That's what America teaches us in these First and Second Amendments: the right to carry, the right to freedom of speech. And so that's something that they can't take away from you. But if they're coming down here with bullets to shut you up, you need to be down here with bullets too, because ain't nobody about to take my voice away from me. Okay. But that is an issue in this system that needs to be corrected. And the police don't really fight any crime in our communities. They just there to exploit us. When we learn from our own culture, we can learn how to resolve a lot of the issues in our communities, because our culture teaches us critical thinking. It teaches us conflict resolution and problem solving. It teaches you to think for yourself, to become self-determined, and work to be self-sufficient. So those things are important when you understand just how severe our exploitation is. So I went on to organize, and that we had several protests during that time that were ongoing in several cities. I had other organizers that asked me to attend their protests. One year, well, it was in the same year, but one protest, I had a sign that basically let everyone that was out there know, hey, there is an actual code in Georgia's code that says that if a police illegally arrests you, that means that if they arrest you for no reason, they assault you, is actually illegal to do that. They're abusing their power, but we don't know that because we're not into law. We're not into educating ourselves on our rights and those things. And a lot of times as Black people, we don't know what rights we actually have. So I had a sign up there at the protest, and we did a march around the block. It was a couple hundreds of people. And that thing, I held it up, and it basically was for everybody to read when they was walking by. And it said that if a police assaults anybody, that you have the right, even if it was needed to take that police life, to defend that person. And that's a code that's in Georgia. While we finished that march, we went back up, rallied up, had some elders coming out. Hey, well, we want y'all to know this is not the way to go. Cowards is all I can tell you, because that is sometimes what's necessary in order to get that attention and that change, and to see that this community is not happy with the way things are going. sometimes they're not going to listen to you unless you organize and you get people together and you show up with your angry mob and you like, we do not like how you run in this city. Do something about this. That is the only way to get results. We push people to vote, but then we put these people in position and then they take the money and never put anything initially into the community that actually benefits our communities. It's just for things that they want, or the rich white people get. I don't know if I need to encrypt or code what I say on here, but I'm just talking the best that I can. So at that protest, they brought dogs out, and one of the advocates there, she let me know they brought them dogs out for me. They had me in a group that someone else made me aware of. They took my photo from my Facebook, put me in this local group, and said they didn't think this was going to be a peaceful protest because I was there. I wasn't coming to initiate any riots. I just came there to support the protester. Hey, baby. I just came to support the protesters, and anyone who needed any mutual aid or whatever the case may be. So they let me know I was already in groups being watched. They had me in 3 different newsletters, newspapers, local newspapers. So I just went in the store one day in Cartersville, and I'm like, dang, I'm on the front page of the newspaper. Cartersville has 3 hate groups, mind you. So even though that kind of sounds like, oh, I'm on the front of the newspaper, it's like I'm on the front of the newspaper. Like that wasn't even an event that I organized, but they made sure that they saw me out there. Okay. I also was on the front of the Rome News Tribute newsletter paper. And it was another one. It was like Coosa Valley or something, I can't remember. But it was 3 different newspapers that they had me on. And I'm like, that's cool. Y'all, one of them actually interviewed me. So that was a different thing because I did want to give a message out to that community. And it was, we're not thugs. When it comes to what happened with George Floyd, you get a lot of controversy where some people feel like you deserve those things. So my message was to the people that we ain't no thugs, you know what I'm saying? Like, we educated, we got teachers out here and real estate agents. Like, we ain't just ignorant people that they try to paint us as. We just have a high rate of miseducated people, and that's all. And so that happened. And then, of course, right before that, I started dating Rakim Balagoon. And this is, if you don't know his history, he is or was one of the co-founders of the Huey P. Newton Gun Club, as well as Guerrilla Mainframe. And in 2017, he was labeled as the first Black identity extremist by the FBI. And the FBI raided his household. His son was in the household, and they took him to prison. He beat that case because he was able to prove that they were monitoring him. Basically, that COINTELPRO still exists because they used his Facebook, and this is something that everybody should know that gets into activism. Not saying not to use Facebook, because for me it's still a good tool. I'm gonna spread information. You know what I'm saying? You don't like it, guess what? It is what it is. Like, I'm just going to get louder. I might be more strategic about what I do and think about certain things first, but it's still a good tool, just like any other apps. So for me, it's like I know sometimes I'll take a break from it, and I got things that I don't put on Facebook. So it's like I know what to put on there, I know what not to. So, at this time, he and I were dating. He was also dealing with a case in which he got kidnapped. Basically, he got into it with the store clerk, and they exchanged words. And it broke out into a heated argument between the two of them. Now, the store clerk unlocked the door so that the people could get out, because after the basically, when, because I don't think I mentioned that part, they got into it, and then the store clerk locked the door, and there were people saying that you can't lock us into the store, so he unlocked the door. Now, at the time that they were arguing, Rakim did express that the store clerk mentioned that he was going to shoot him. Rakim went out of the store, or stepped out of the store, or was stepping out of the store, while the store clerk was, and I don't think I've seen the video, but I'm just expressing this is what the story was. And that the store clerk was reaching under the cabinet or counter, and he basically, Rakim pulled his gun out and shot it in the air. The store clerk did not get shot or anything. He was not injured. But the lawyer was supposed to argue self-defense, and he did not argue self-defense. He ended up arguing that it was a misidentification on the camera, like that you couldn't prove it was him. They tried to give him 15 years. He ended up getting 8 years. So he's currently incarcerated. In the time that he's been incarcerated, he's been thrown in a cage and isolated. They tried to put drugs. He was in a cell with someone, I guess, who had drugs, and they tried to treat him terribly for it without proving that it was his or that he was using it. And I don't even want to say that the person that had it or the other person had it, because you never know. Like, it could have been someone planting it there. I don't know. I don't want to say what I don't know, but I do know that they tried to treat him like an animal behind the drugs being in the cell room. Of course, I wrote them a letter during this time. They ended up moving him into a better block. So he was actually moved. Now, I gotta rewind a little bit, because I think I'm going like into his story, and I need to go back to where we started. Okay, so we were dating. I ended up moving to Texas after the protest and everything that I did in Georgia. I was only planning on being out here for a year. So I didn't think I was going to be in Texas for 5 years. But of course, I ended up having Justice, which is our daughter. Rakim was incarcerated 6 weeks before she was born. It's something that I'm missing that I was going to reverse back to and say, but then I just can't think of it in the moment. I might have to make multiple documents just with time and everything considered because it's a lot. But I wanted to share what I can. So okay, I know what it is. During the time we were dating, before I came out here, I had went to Facebook jail for like 90 days. They censored my page. When they censored my page, they shut down my businesses on every platform. First it was Etsy. I was making really good money off of Etsy. I was getting international sales. So I was getting sales from all different places around the world. And I was doing really good to where my money was coming in on a daily basis. Um, I had just moved into this new apartment. I've probably been there maybe about 8 or 9 months when this happened. And they shut down my sales. They shut down the website link that I was on. So it wasn't just Wix. It was like all of these things happened at the same time. And it's like, okay, like it's slowing down my money. Uh, so I started resorting to doing other things to try to keep us in a place of stability. And at that time I didn't really think too much about it, but I did have a friend that was in California that brought it to my awareness that she thought that this was being done on purpose to stop me from the line of work I was doing in the community. And so she was the first person to bring it to my attention, and it was just kind of like, you might be right. Like, it do seem like that's kind of awkward that my page got shut down on Facebook and then everything on the other is not even connected to Facebook. So that could have been a form of surveillance or just maybe trying to figure out who I was and what it was that I was doing. We never know what happens when our page goes to Facebook jail. You know what I'm saying? Like we never know if in those days that it's in Facebook jail, 30 days, 90 days, if they're reviewing our entire account or what. We just know that somebody is putting us in jail because of something that we said on the page. So it's things that we may do from putting groups together on Facebook that can create red flags when you gather a whole bunch of people together because you're organizing, whether the group's a political, religious group, business group, whatever it is. We have to remember when we are organizing anything that we can still become target. So from putting large number of groups together on Facebook that are able to be monitored, those things can create a red flag. Even family groups, because you organize in a large amount of people, they don't want to see black families together. Like when you doing stuff like that, you, like I said, you never know. Another thing, certain words, like I had to start using different terms on Facebook because certain words were getting red flagged. And I had other people who was going to Facebook jail prior to me that was telling me that this was happening to them. So they are watching, right? Now from there, going back into when me and Rakim started dating, it was some weird things that went on, but I don't think it really clicked to him, right? And see me, because I have studied a little on COINTELPRO to be a little aware of certain things. One of the things that I learned when I first got into activism and studied the Panthers and COINTELPRO was that usually you can tell you're being surveillance when there are things off in the neighborhood. Like something's off. You can just tell the energy is off. You don't know what it is, but something is weird that's going on. So Justice wants to talk. You want to go get your tablet? Yeah. Go get it for me and bring it here. So the weird thing, the first weird incident that happened was there were these maintenance men that came to the apartment, right, one day when Rakim was working. And these maintenance men told me they needed to check the washroom. I thought you was bringing me a tablet. They needed to check the washroom and the washer connection. And I was new there, y'all. Like, we had just moved into this apartment maybe for a few months. So I was still in the process of unpacking and cleaning things and stuff. And they was like, yeah, we need to go into the washroom and check. So it didn't register because I'm like, oh, it's a washroom in here? Like, it never registered. The maintenance men were telling me they needed to see and check the washroom. It was in the bedroom. They had to go in the bedroom to check it. In our bedroom, in the closet where his things were at. We had 2 closets. They went in the closet where his things were at. There is no washer and dryer connection in there. There is no washer and dryer connection in the entire apartment. But it didn't register to me until they were in the room and they were in the closet where his things were at the wall. And then they were like, all right, we're leaving out. Who knows? They could have put a bug in there. We don't know. But he was already being or had been surveillanced. So for me, it was something that I thought about. For him, he didn't really seem like he felt like he was being watched. Like, I'm like, you got to be careful. They might put it in your ankle monitor. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, I don't think so. I'm like, they don't stop watching you. Once you get put on a watch list, they're going to watch you for the rest of your life. I'm going to go ahead and let y'all know that. Okay? So I'm not saying that to make people be afraid, but to be aware. I have a video that I want to share as well in my comments or somewhere that I learned about security culture that has been very helpful because I shared with an elder that I felt like I was being stalked and surveillanced. So I think I was already dealing with some of this prior to meeting Rakim. But I think at my level, mine's was justice. Come on. At mine's, my level was coming from the state. I don't think it had got to the point of being at his level where he's being monitored by the FBI. But them putting me in the groups, them putting me, we already got multiple hate groups. They were getting those newsletters and seeing them, or the newspapers. But I already was dealing with some forms of things there in Georgia that I just was not quite sure of because I wasn't in a network of people who understood what I was going through. I was in a network of people who didn't even understand what I was saying. Okay? Like, I come from a place where there might be people who are educated, and there was a few people who was educated on what it was that I was expressing to the community, but not at the level of they have experienced organizing, that they understand COINTELPRO, that they understand, any solutions that would actually help me, because most of them were not African-centered, not militant. It was like, so my biggest conflict first started from people around me because it was like, oh, they don't even get what I'm saying right now. Like, I can't do this. I can't work. Why? Because every time I go to work, there's these weirdos that keep coming in there and weird shit keeps happening. And it's just so weird that it seems like I'm being stalked in my job. It was because I was already leaning into certain activism even when I was working. And when I had a job, I was working at Arby's as a teenager, and there was some bullying going on. I had me and the actual owner had a disagreement, and he tried to tell me that I couldn't say what I said, and I'm like, I know that I wasn't wrong because they're making literal threats, and I'm speaking up for somebody who's being bullied on the job, and this is my freedom of speech. And he's like, well, this is where freedom of speech ends. And I'm like, yeah, deuces, I'm out. I put my notice in and I got home because nobody's going to take my voice away. But that was when I was a teenager. So imagine me in the workplace. I've had several times where I'm just like, oh no, I'm not going for that. And that also being an issue. But I had weird things that were taking place around these times that even in the workplace, there was incidents where there could have been some stalking or things that I just didn't understand. It was just kind of like, that's weird. Like I might see the same person in multiple places and I'm like, and it started there, but it wasn't as bad. So it could have just been like a thing on a state level. Because one time I came out of my office that I used to have in Cartersville, and the pigs, the police was parked one facing the car and one facing the other way next to my car. And I'm like, all these parking spaces and y'all chose to park right here. Right. And this was while I was organizing and having my workshops and stuff. But they parked there. We went to go wash clothes one day at a laundromat, and there were men in suits looking in my van. And my child was the one who pointed it out to me. And he's like, these guys are looking in the van because I was sending him to go get some things. He's like, I don't even know who these people are. But then they went on, they got into a car. I wasn't able to identify the car because it was like I'm walking from the back of I just see them. I'm walking from the back of the washing room and I see them in the window. I'm not the best at seeing, okay? So it was weird incidents like that would happen then prior to me coming out here. But when I got out here, somebody coming in the apartment and saying that they needed to check a washroom and there's no washroom or washer connection in the apartment was kind of alarming to me. I think after that, of course, for a couple of let's see before yeah, it was. Okay. So I ended up getting a court case that came up. I got into an altercation with my ex-husband. And my ex-husband, it was because I asked him to get some things for the children. And he didn't want to give it. The things was like less than $10. And I only was getting $200 in child support, like $230 in child support a month for 2 children. And I'm just like, this is not enough. Like they consume that super fast. But he didn't want to give me anything other than that. Now, I'm not even the type of person who likes to use child support. So I just want to say that because I understand that can be used to exploit Black men. But it was to a point where that was the only way that I was even going to get any type of assistance from my children's father because he refused to give me any money for the children. So I struggled for a while people were telling me that I needed to put them on child support. And I'm like, I don't want to use the system, this, and that. Like, why is it so hard to just co-parent and understand that we both created these children, your children need some things? Like, it was just like I was put with a super burden to do a lot. And don't get me wrong, he would get the children. I never stopped him from getting the children or anything like that. But I always felt like I was the person who was trying to make the co-parenting process as healthy as possible. But I was dealing with somebody who was super toxic. And it was toxic prior to us getting to that point of divorce. I went through domestic violence with him. I had times where this man poured alcohol in my face because I was on the phone with my own cousin just to stop. Because I was on the phone with my cousin, he'd come up and, who you on the phone with? What you on the phone with? And throw alcohol in my face. So I was dealing with a form of abuse from him, which is why we separated, as well as him it was kind of draining for me. But we have children together, so I've tried to co-parent, but it's still been an form of abuse, just dealing with the situation. And it's kind of stressful because if you've never been through any type of abuse, to tell people to endure abuse is kind of hard. And I dealt with that even with some relatives just not understanding, like, this is draining me mentally, emotionally. nobody's doing anything about it, but just telling me to grow up, or I'm like, dude, I'm getting my ass kicked. Like, I just had somebody pour alcohol in my face. Somebody drugged me by my hair across the ground. You feel what I'm saying? And I'm just supposed to continue to try to do things in a mature way when I'm doing the best that I can without putting myself in danger. Well, those very things is things that I know sometimes we want the best out of a situation, but we don't realize how much danger we're putting our children or our loved ones, our sisters, our cousins, our grandchildren in somebody's way when we don't intervene with domestic violence or whatever the case may be. So what ends up happening in this situation is the children, they we went through the custody case, and this was the same time I got hit with my custody case. At the same time, Rakim got hit with, it's time for you to go to court for this incident that happened with this altercation in 2019, I believe. Get down, Justice. So, in the process of this, he's dealing with a court case at the same time I am. He got arrested. They took him, and his was unexpected. Like, it was something they just threw on him. He didn't even know he was going to court because they kept telling him he had some time down the line. So we don't know if this was a tactic being used, but they had him removed 6 weeks before she was born. Went to my hearing after I gave birth to her. I had my hearing, and they gave the father that had already been abusing me, that's an alcoholic, custody of the children. He tried to argue that I was unfit. That's a hard argument, seeing that I've sheltered the children, provided them with clothes, kept them taken care of, unless they in play clothes. They fed. They're very well educated. That was a hard argument. And I got a loving support system, my family. And I put my family's information down, and I gave some of their background in my kit so that they would know that my family I come from a good background. Now, my ex-husband took it to the point of telling them she is a panther. And I don't want the children learning that. Mama. What? We are animals. I don't know. We'll look for them in a little while, okay? So the issue was that when he couldn't find me unfit, him and the lawyer used the fact that I was a panther to take the children. And they brought up as many organizations that they could find that I was affiliated with on social media into the courtroom, including the Huey P. Newton Gun Club, the New Black Panther Party, Black Royal Family, and Gorilla Mainframe. They used the fact that I had a baby by Rakim Balagoon and his stance against police brutality as a way of saying she has a baby by these people and she's affiliated with these groups, and these people believe that police should be killed. And that is what they said in the courtroom. And that was enough for them to take the children and reward the father. Mama, yes. Yeah, I know you see yourself. Can you go get your tablet for me? It's in the bedroom. Can you go grab it? So, in the process of this taking place, oh my God. And this is why it's hard for me to respect certain parts of the upbringings that I had as far as being a Christian, because we just so taught to overlook things. And in African spirituality, snitches are not, you don't, in the Pan-African community, snitching is unforgivable. Somebody was supposed to check that when he did that. You feel what I'm saying? And it shouldn't have been up to the sister, is all I'm saying. The sister is supposed to be protected, and I don't know what's going on, but that should have been checked, because snitching is a huge issue. Snitching can get a lot of people hurt. Not only that, that was done with an intention that you know what's going to happen to me if you tell these people in the courtroom who I'm affiliated with. That was also a possible attempt to have me murdered. That is how serious that is. But people would not understand that, because they would not understand the amount of abuse that I went through in that situation. And people don't understand that sometimes abusers can become stalkers. They can become people who actually come around and kill you. And when you understand, even with domestic violence, that people who leave domestic violence situations are more likely, or more it's more likely for them to be murdered. And research shows that they're more likely to be murdered after they leave the situation than when they're in the situation. Most domestic violence victims are more likely to be murdered after they've left the situation. So the fact that I experienced that with him, and then he went on to abuse that situation more by saying, I'm going to point you out as a panther. Because everything that he was doing to get the children was not about him wanting to be a parent and involved in their lives. He hardly sees them now. But it was more so a form of abuse, because he already was financially abusing me by not assisting with the children, which is also a form of domestic violence. So when we got into that argument, I'm like, I'm just going to forget this. I'm tired. I need help with these children. I don't want to do this, but I'm just going to have to go and have them review this child support. And so it was kind of like we're arguing, and he's like, I'm just going to get the children and they can just struggle with me. Yeah. Okay. So anyways, after that happened, the issue was never checked, which should have been. I'm going to tell you some of the things that happened in my movement. After that court case, one of the sisters that testified in the court case on my behalf was gang stalked terribly, to a point where she was having a mental breakdown. She thought that I was a part of the gang stalking, because she just did not know what was going on. She was really having a breakdown. Gang stalking is when organized groups can even use your own family, and your family will not know that they are being a tool used in stalking you, because they are not aware of how COINTELPRO works. But it can be members in the community, people who are gossiping, people who are spreading lies and misinformation in groups, people who are talking about you and, using misinformation or spreading lies or doing things to discredit you as a leader. Those are tools that can be used in COINTELPRO, that have been used in COINTELPRO. But she was being stalked to a point where they were sending stuff to her front door that was just weird items. Every job that her phone was hacked. Every phone that she tried to use was just completely hacked. And I'm saying this because everybody may not come to me that organize with me and tell me just how bad things are going. It would be something just random happen. I'm like, dang, why you didn't tell me? You know what I'm saying? Like another member got arrested. Um, During this time, one of my relatives was on drugs really bad. Like I'm just being honest about the situation. Like because all of this was happening around the same time. We don't know if the people that was around him was sent to him on purpose. Because I'm gonna tell you what ended up happening when I showed that presentation of my family, and this is what we have to understand, is that whoever is supporting that activist, the person that they're targeting, they will target the people around them too, so that the people around them, they might not know what's going on, but it just seems like everything is falling apart. And that's doing that to isolate the activists, to stop the activists from having any type of support, because they're trying to destabilize the activists. So I didn't understand this at this time, but I felt it. It was intuitively something is off. Like I had a cousin, and this was the first incident. My cousin was in her car going to work, and she was somebody who supported the movement and did stuff with me in some of the and when we first started. If my Facebook page is being monitored, they could easily have got information on people that I associate myself with, and found a way to target them. She's on the way to work, her car break down. By the time they get to her, she's dead in the car. Um, you know, that happens about 2 months down the line. One of my other cousins get murdered in a house fire where he's locked in a room. Um, Another incident literally a month later, after this cousin dies, I have another cousin that commits suicide. Now, I also had some witchcraftery stuff that was going on because I did go to an elder, a seer, who told me that my ex-husband had also paid somebody to hex me from Trinidad. So in the process of this, a hex can also be used to isolate you. So think that I'm coming from a spiritual perspective for those who get that spiritual part, and from a place where I'm being surveillanced and my movement is being surveillanced. We was getting fucked up. Like I'm just being honest. One of the closest people to me committed suicide, but we don't know what was taking him there, because there was rumors that, and this is one of the strongest people that we know. You know what I'm saying? Like people would tell you that and know him, but he was getting. It was like I talked to him. Next day, something happened. We don't know what was pushing that. He didn't talk to me. He didn't communicate or nothing. I wish I could have communicated with him then, but uh, that happened. And then a couple of months from there, I had a car accident. I was ran off the road. I was ran off the road. No, I want to say yeah, that's right. That's the right timeline. In July. Okay. Uh, it was other deaths that kind of took place here and there, but I don't really know if I can connect them to what was going on. But I just know it was a lot of weird things that was going on back home. Like even with some of my other members, they was having money issues, relatives having money issues that normally don't have money issues. I want to share this as well because COINTELPRO can be used to make people that are friends with each other fight. People who are in relationships with each other fight, because you don't know what these devices are telling you or what information goes to these devices that can make you look at somebody and be like, what about that person? They are very strategic with how COINTELPRO is used. So at any time, propaganda can be pushed to us. And this was something that I learned even from Mike Africa Jr., which was one of the survivors of the Philadelphia bombing with the move um, in Philadelphia. Like um, he was saying that when he was growing up, that when he entered school, his grandmother or his I think his caretaker cut his hair off, and the other children didn't. That was a part of that. And at the same time, the movie The Predator came out, and the Predator has locks, but we don't understand just how bad the warfare is against us. That movie could have, in fact, been used as a form of psychological warfare to make people see people who got locks as predators. Because he said after that movie came out, those other children ended up getting their hair cut. They were already pushing things in the news and in the media about the organization to make people question them that used to support them by saying they're crazy and this and that. So this is just something that we should be aware of in advance, because this is something that can happen to any of us. And the people who were leaders may have been good, but just didn't have that security culture where people were conscious and educated on COINTELPRO enough to understand how to deal with it, or if it's COINTELPRO, because COINTELPRO has had leaders of gangs beef with each other and argue with each other. They've had officers come in and purposely have gangs come in to fight with each other. And we've seen stuff like that even with Fred Hampton. And so sometimes you have to think even quicker than them, because it's been times where I've questioned people. We get into it and it's like, oh, wait a minute, like, who gave you that information? Because I know I didn't say that. And then I have to question, is this a form of COINTELPRO? Is somebody trying to stop something? And that is what we all need to question when strange things start to happen. But you also got to see it from the perspective of a activist, because if you're not experiencing what the activist is experiencing, then sometimes you just start thinking they going crazy because that ain't your reality. But in my reality, it's like, hey, this is happening back to back to back to back. I'm telling you, something's wrong. This wasn't going on, at first. So, from the time he told them that I was a Panther, these incidents happened to a point where I got ran off the road. The guy that I got ran off the road from was not didn't have a driver's license, from Guatemala, no permit. Even though I do understand the argument of the no borders and stuff like that, I do think you still have to have some form of law in life so that things don't get out of order. I'm not saying that the colonizers should be the ones who decide that, but what I'm saying is you just can't have people just drive and that can't drive. Like, I could have got killed from that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the thing was, he was riding beside me for quite some time. I'm glad I didn't have any of my children in the car. He ran me off the road, and it was just kind of like, was that intentional? Because why did you do that? I did call the police, because him and the guy that was with him, it was two guys, they came up to the car, and I'm like, I'm not getting out the car. I don't even know why you ran me off the road. And I'm a woman. I'm a Black woman in Texas, and I already understand that by the border and in this area, there's a lot of smuggling and trafficking going on. And the people who are doing the trafficking is not just some of the people that's in position of power. That's what I'm going to say, because they're involved with it, and some of their money is going to it. But it's also some of the people that are not being able to be documented, because they're the ones so this is the thing that I see that there's an argument in the left side about, is because we don't want to control people and where they want to live and where they want to go. America is supposed to be a free space, and it was that before colonization. But there still has to be some type of order and something taking place while we're in colonization, because the colonizers can use people, and they'll use our own people to work against us. So they can use people, and that's the disadvantage that we have, even though we want to have that thought pattern, is that some of these people are using that ticket to come in here, get money, but then they're trafficking people to exploit to make more money. So even if the people that are in Mexico or whatever areas they're in across the border are not on the side of the oppressed and they're on the side of exploitation, then we have an issue. So it's just things that we have to kind of consider, because everybody that's exploiting us is not just people that's in a place of super high power. We got people in our own communities that's exploiting us too, not just through trafficking, but other things that's got to be cleared up. So these are things that, we have to really consider, because the person who ran me off the road, it was hard to even find this man after this happened. Now I hired a lawyer because this disabled me. This made it to where I had to send my children back to Georgia. I couldn't keep my apartment any longer. When I went to Georgia, I went to my father's house to take a break. I needed time to heal and recover. I'm still at a point where this side has not completely healed. But it was in a time where this side over here lost feeling, like literally lost feeling. I could feel something here. And I'm telling the doctors this. It feels like a needle's going in my back and just running down my back. And I'm like, y'all, like I'm having this pain. They can't point it out, right? So I'm at the point where I'm in distress, to a point where I'm ready to end it all, because everybody that's around me is dying. I done got ran off the road. My very close relative is now on drugs. That is, I don't want to give too much information, but I'm in a lot of pain mentally, emotionally. I'm breaking down and I'm losing my place. And I don't think a lot of people even understood what was going on. So I'm just getting people that's like, come on, keep pushing, gotta be strong. And I'm like, I'm being stalked. I'm dying. They're targeting me. I don't know how to communicate that, because it was one of those things where I just couldn't approve it. But I knew intuitively something was wrong, because even after that car accident, I kept seeing these black trucks. It was just like it felt like they were following me. So one day I was literally parked in the parking lot, and this man in a truck comes, backs up into me. This happened after I already done had this accident. Probably literally a couple of weeks after that accident. So I had 2 accidents. Just this time I was sitting in the car, not moving. Backs into me. I get out the car like, hey. And he's like, oh, my bad. Takes off in his truck. So my son comes to me and he's like, them black trucks that you say you keep seeing is following you? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, they the police. Like, I just seen one. Because this time he had started working. He actually was helping me out a lot, because I couldn't. I was in a point where I was falling. And it was like nobody could see the extent and the level of pain I was in. I was in a place where I could not turn my head, y'all. I would be okay 1 minute and moving around, and then the next minute it was just like I can't move it. It's not moving. I can't feel it. I still have to be careful with this side, because it still feels like something is off over here. In the process of this, I ended up moving back to Georgia for a little while last summer, right? It didn't take long for me to be ready to leave out of there, because my brother got killed. He got killed the day after I was going to organize with his sister back home. And I know my page is being watched. That's how I just know it's being watched. I don't know to the extent. And that's the thing, is like, I don't know if it's just to the post. I don't know if it's to the messages. I don't know if it's to when I comment on people's pages. I don't know to the extent that it's being monitored. I don't know if they just have access to the full account and they're able to just go in there and see all of the activities that I make. I don't know to what level it's being monitored. But I shared this with one of my comrades back home, that at that point, I felt it was being monitored because every time I posted something on my page pertaining to something with organizing, something happened. Weird incidents. The Romans, let's just be for real. During the time I was in Georgia, this might sound weird, but it was some weird ass accidents that was happening. The time that I went to the Malcolm X festival, and this was when I went to the Malcolm X festival and was coming back. That day that I came back from that festival, there was a terrible accident on Cartersville Highway where people died. A bus got flipped over. And the bus got flipped over down the street from when I think about it, my dad's girlfriend's house. Like, it was just weird things that was happening. And I know that the incidents may have come from negligent drivers and stuff like that, but it was still weird stuff. Just weird. That, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. Who knows? It could have been from the stuff that the juju that was put on me. But I also know that from me being a spiritual woman out here, I got divination like 3 different times, and my ancestors had already told me not to go to Georgia. But I'm like, just a couple of months can't hurt nothing. I should have just listened. When I tell you, you got to listen to your ancestors, you better listen. I didn't know it was going to be that bad. My brother died. After he died, he got killed in a car accident. And that was weird because the white woman, her name was Angel, was the one that was with him when he died, and she lied. And then Angel was the person that they put in the front of us at his funeral. And it's just kind of like, y'all did something to him. She even told my brother that she told him to go off to Jesus. And it's like, who does that when somebody's dying? You logic tells you, come on, stay in there, stick with me. I already called the ambulance. Instead of doing that, you tell them to go off to Jesus. This is why I don't like these people from these cultures that don't understand this psychological warfare and the spiritual warfare that's against us, because our own people don't even know the truth behind that. And I don't want to get into it too bad, but yeah, I'm just going to stick with African spirituality. She basically told us a couple of lies, which gave me a red flag, because I do my own investigation. I rode down that road multiple times where my brother crashed, and I counted, rode back down it, counted, rode back down it. It's about 2.5, 3 minutes to get to the location. He had an accident from his job, and they tried to say he fell asleep behind the wheel 2 minutes down from where he pulled out at. So you telling me that he walked out of his job, was in that car, and 2 minutes down the way, not 10, not 20, not 30, but 2 minutes down, that he fell asleep instantly. Like, he just instantly fell asleep and crashed. And he was going fast enough in those 2 minutes that he just went behind. I helped me process that, because I wasn't even speeding. And I got down there within that 2 to 3 minute time frame. So I don't know if I'm the only person who thought about that. I know my brother kind of questioned it as well, my other brother, because she was lying and something didn't make sense. So if you're a Roman, you know that you see everything on social media when it happened, right? If somebody died, people gonna see it on social media before the family know. She told me the pictures that she got me, that she sent me, were, she said, when you see these photos, don't be mad. Don't come back mad later. And I'm like, why would I be mad? I just want clarity on what happened. She had photos of it. Somebody took from her car, but she tried, and I know they took it from her car. It's a picture of her with him at the car. And this was to create their story. She told me that her daughter found the photos on social media. You know, everybody from Rome and Carterville, y'all know that if them photos was on social media, somebody would have said it. Ain't nobody came to me and shared them photos. You know why? Because the photos wasn't on social media. Somebody in the car with her took those photos, and that was their alibi to cover up the fact that they murdered him. But I'm going to keep that to myself. Too late. I already did it. But that's my thought pattern. Okay. Why? Because I already was on to the fact that people that was in my movements and people that was around me was being murdered. I was already on to the fact that people was being stalked and killed, and that this was a pattern that I was seeing. So it wasn't hard for me to say it and to think like that, because I was already seeing the pattern that was taking place. That's something that you have to look for when you organizing. If you feel like you're being stalked, is patterns. So from that incident, it was a few other things that happened. I'm like, I'm going back. I lost my car out there. I couldn't make no money. I was like, I'm going back. Every time I try to do something happened. So I came back out here. Like I said, it's a lot. So I'm trying to get through this as much as I can. I got out here, moved into like this budget apartment that you pay weekly, and was there for a couple of months. Here comes this guy that moves in to me. 2 apartments down, just to take that in there, please, baby. 2 apartments down, and it's a white man. He's super friendly. He's trying to cook me breakfast every morning. He's waiting at the door every time I get off, and I'm like, why are you doing this? Now I got the man information, right? I went and looked at the information. This man, he talks to a lot of podcast hosts. He talks to a lot of radio people, but they all black. So it kind of let me know that in some type of way, it seemed like he targets people who got black radio stations or have a platform. It is no coincidence that was the man that was that was 2 apartments down from me. When I went and looked at his profile, it's a radio station he works with. They got an all black group of people. He did an interview with these young black Africans that was talking about the importance of entrepreneurship and these things, and he's on the talk show. But it was just not a coincidence that man was there. In this time, this man came in my apartment one night, right? He tried to stop me to get him to eat the food, and I was like, I don't want to eat it. This man tried to pull me into his apartment, like literally pull me in his apartment, and I'm like, no, I'm good. So he's like, I'm gonna bring it down there to you, and I was like, no. I go into my apartment, and I realize I left something in the car. I go back down to the car, but I shut the door. My car is parked to where it's in front of the apartment, and so I didn't lock the door. I just shut it. This man opened the door and went in the apartment and placed the food in the fridge. I threw that shit away because I don't know what's in that. It could be my last meal. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know you, and you cooking, you just being friendly. When do y'all know white people to be that friendly? I heard somebody say the other day, they friendly, but they not your friends. Okay? Because they can be very deceptive. So I didn't take or eat the food, I threw it out. But in this process, in the next couple of weeks, somebody was entering my apartment when I was gone. I kind of felt it, but I couldn't tell. The first thing was my daughter's ball came up missing. She had like this giant ball. And I'm like, ain't no way we misplaced that ball. I know we didn't leave it outside. I never do stuff like that. So I'm thinking, am I tripping? Something else come up missing. And I'm like, I just don't know if it's the maintenance man or what, you know? But what really did it for me was somebody left a puddle of water on the floor and had a white rag they put and set on it, but it didn't cover it up. And I'm like, somebody been in here. Because I didn't put that white rag there. I didn't set it on that water. This is fresh water that's on the floor. I've been gone all day. So I called the office and I'm like, did maintenance man come in here? They're like, no. I'm like, they don't have any orders and anything like that. And I'm like, okay, well, somebody been in my apartment. There's water here. I don't see anywhere where the water came from. And there's a rag that is not one of my rags that's put down on it, the white rag. I didn't want to touch it because I didn't know what was on it. Being a black woman, having some form of situational awareness and understanding that trafficking is real. Some weirdo just came in my apartment. Who knows? He could be a trafficker. That's why you don't get just super friendly with just all type of strangers. right? But he could have did it, or somebody else could have did it. But somebody was coming in my apartment. So the maintenance man came over. He looked. I showed it to him. He's like, "You sure that's not yours?" I'm like, "No." He went on and fixed my locks then. This guy that was down there, he kind of stopped after he seen I wasn't going to talk to him. It was just like, fuck that. I'm not talking to you. But he left in the middle of the night. Like, this guy moved in the middle of the night. I'm talking about, I seen him that night when I got to the apartment. The next morning when I stepped out, all of his things was gone. His apartment was cleared. And this is somebody who had just moved in with furniture. I'm talking about nice stuff. I seen him taking the stuff in there. You kind of see the apartment from the door. He moved cabinets in there. He moved out that night. And this is a man that's kind of old. He's about in his 70s or so. How did he move all of that stuff out of there overnight? Without a truck, without anything. He moved it. But here was the thing. Rakim's phone came up missing. I would have thought that was a security breach, because what if somebody got his phone, and now, knowing that he's an organizer, they know everybody that he's affiliated with. They know everybody down his friend timeline. And with COINTELPRO, if they can get access to that, which they can do that anyways, looking at your page, but now they can see the conversations that you're having with people. They can get into the conversations. If you got any conversations in any groups, they can get access to the groups conversations and monitor what you're doing in the community. So any of the things that he was doing or organizing with, or people who had any other initiatives that's organizing, now they have access to the page where they can monitor you. They have more people to monitor, more people to sabotage, more people to gang stalk, more people to surveillance and infiltrate. And it's kind of like, I would have, I don't know how all organizations take matters like that, but something should have been held, like a meeting, to be like, hey, there's a security breach. And maybe we need to let everybody that we know be aware of that, so that we can take precautions and just be aware that COINTELPRO, even though we might already be being monitored, we need to be a little bit more sharper, because we might be being monitored to a point where somebody dies. We're being monitored to a point where, they might try to break us up. So we need to be smarter than the program. I think that's important. And looking back on some incidents now, I think that that's what that was, because after that happened, I've been in this apartment for a year, but I can list even more incidents. And I feel like sometimes when I'm on the phone with him, that it picks up more. This can be an attempt to stop me from being stable, so that when he is able to get out, he can't go back here. Because I was already, if we're both being monitored, then they're like, oh, hell no, we can't let them two get together. They do not want me affiliated with him, and so, and whatever the case, we know why. We should know why. But anyways, after that incident, I shared some other crazy incidents that's recently happened. So, I've been waiting. I had to come back because they told me I had to be in Texas for my settlement, right? They told me what they were going to demand. And then they came back to me a month or two before the statute of limitation was up, to say, hey, we ain't going to be able to get you any money. Even though they've been telling me that they're going to get me some money and this and that. They was telling me they'd even be able to get me more treatment and stuff. But they was like, the only people who gonna make money is the doctor and the lawyer. This is a form of exploitation. Keep in mind, the doctors never listened to me. They kept giving me CAT scans and other places. They was running a checkup on me. Some people was even expressing that they were supposed to separate the medical costs from my fees, from what I'm supposed to get paid out. They didn't do any of that. I didn't get anything from property damage as far as any losses, losing my apartment or any of those things. So they was basically like, your medical bills are so high that plus what we're charging, you ain't getting anything. I'm like, I ain't signing nothing. He told me I was getting $100 from an accident that has made me disabled, y'all, to a point where I'm disabled. Like, I might not look like it, but there are certain things that I can't do to just function like my body would normally function. And he told me I was just gonna get like $100, and I'm like, this is crazy. And they waited for 2 years to the statute of limitation was almost up to tell me this, because they knew I wouldn't be able to get another lawyer. Now, before this was happening, when I was at the other apartment after that car accident, I also was dealing with issues where the landlord told me the amount I needed to pay. I paid that amount, and then they came back and was like, "Oh, you didn't pay it all. Oh, you didn't pay what we asked you." And I'm like, "No, it's on paper," including the grant that I received, and the woman who gave me the housing grant to pay for it. She even had a paper of what they said. That's why she wrote the amount out. And he was like, "No, there's a miss." So it was almost like, are these people messing with my money? That was like the thing, like the doctor's not even listening to me. They're not even listening to where, what? Okay. They're not even listening to where I'm saying I'm having pain here. They're just doing what they want to. They're looking at me like, hmm, 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 hmm. And it's like, dude, I'm telling you, like, I can't move, and you just like not doing anything. I don't know. Let's get an MRI like in the middle of the back. Now, I'm not having pain in the middle of my back. I'm having it up here. Here. So they running up a check on me. It's almost like it was a conspiracy, but I just couldn't prove it. It was like, well, why are they doing this? It seems like the establishments are being weird. And I sound like I'm being paranoid because I just keep saying the establishments are doing this. I'm going to tell you how it started getting worse, though. Once the lawyer told me that, okay, he called me. He was like, okay, well, we're going to give you a check or whatever. I got my check, and I just was like, I'm going to go open up a bank account. I had to open up a bank account anyways because I had just got a rental car. The rental car, I had to use a certain card, like a certain debit card or credit card. So I had to go open up a bank account for it. In the process of all of this happened a few months ago, right? Because that's when the statute of limitation would have been up in July. So this just happened. They froze my bank account 3 times within a month to say different things. Justice. Okay, I just want to make sure my child is present. They get too quiet and it's like, what you doing? But y'all, I see you got on the float.
Mosquito bite me.
A mosquito bite you. Oh my goodness. Don't let the mosquitoes bite you. I'll be in there in a minute. I'm gonna go fix us something to eat in just a minute. I'm about to end this, okay? You hungry? Okay. No, I'm about to finish this up. I have to do a part 2. But I just wanted to get into this as much as possible. They froze my bank account 3 times. Hold on, I ain't done though. My card just got hacked the other day. It was like it got charged for like $700. Two different accounts, like 2 different transactions. So I went and got a new one, and the new one is hacked, and I ain't even used it yet. All I did was activate it, but it tried to charge it $300 the other day, and I'm like, who has access to my information? The car company that I'm using. What ended up happening was when my bank account got frozen, the car rental place that I'm using, they ran my card 9 times. It made it where I had to go get another card. But then not only that, when I got the other card, it made it where the car company had to renew the contract because I had to get another card. And because of that, I had to end up paying almost $800 instead of paying just the $330 that I pay a week for the car. So they drug my money. Okay, so follow me because I know it's a lot going on. I'm trying to rush real quick. My card got frozen 3 times. The car company double charged. They ran my card 9 times to a point where I had to get a new card. And then because I got a new card, they couldn't use it in the system to renew the contract. So I had to start the contract over, charging me $800. After this incident happened, I moved into my apartment, and the light company, which I had already made a payment to and sent my license over to, start sending me through a whole bunch of different verifications. And it was like they cut my lights off the day before, no, the day that I was going out of town to Sacramento. So I'm in Sacramento every morning and every evening on the phone with them because they keep telling me, yeah, your lights will be on in 15 minutes. And then I call them back to check on the status, and they're like, the reason it's not on is because we still got a hold because you hadn't sent this. And I'm like, I just sent it. So I send it, and then they're like, okay, it'll be on in a little bit. And then they call me back, and they'll be like, we're sorry, we need you to send your social security card. And then the thing was, the woman who told me to send the social security card sent me the wrong email address. So I asked her, was it a scam? Because I'm like, she sent me an email address to Reliant, and this is direct energy. I'm like, is this the right, is this a scam? Because I'm applying for direct energy, and you talking about sending it to Reliant. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. We partnered. I'm like, well, I don't feel comfortable sending my social security card because you tripping. You know what I'm saying? You got me sending. I don't need to be giving my personal information out to an email, and you can't even give me the correct email. So it was a lot of miscommunication on their end. I would send, my passport information and stuff like that, and then they come back and say, oh, well, we need you to come back and send the ID again, but this time send it with the back. And it's like, why y'all didn't tell me all of this initially when I gave y'all my money, and y'all been holding my money for 2 weeks now, just to come back and never sent me any notification saying we need this, we need this, we need. Never did any of that. They took what I gave them, what they initially asked me for, and never communicated with me. So they never came out and switched the lights over. Then they basically they finally cut them on. I get back in town, they cut my lights on. But then I'm back in town for like a day or two, and my car get towed. And the people that I called basically told me that it got took because it was in an unauthorized parking spot. There's no signs, no paintings, no nothing in the parking spot. It just looked like a regular parking spot. So I'm like, well, how would I have known that? So I talked to the people in the office, and they're like, no, it didn't get taken because you don't have a parking spot. They said they took it because they didn't see the sticker. Oh my gosh. Make up y'all mind. But it was a pattern in every establishment, from the doctors to the lawyer to the previous landlord that I had that kept telling me different amounts, to the light company telling me different amounts, to the office and the towing company, because that's a form of exploitation. They're partnered with each other. So they both got money off of me taking my car. But I had to pay $300 to go get my car out. So that shit set me behind financially because they're fucking with my money. They hacking my cards. They're telling me different prices. They telling me different things. And so at this time, I'm telling Rakim, because I communicated with him, I'm like, I think these establishments are messing with my money. I've been saying this for the past couple of years, ever since the stuff happened back when I had the car accident. Not only that, but I just had an electric car last winter. The company that I went through was charging me $345. That was the contract, $345 a week. I was paying that, and they was taking out an extra $100 a week, and they couldn't tell me what it was. They could not tell me what the extra $100 was. I had to show it to the bank because one day they charged me $345 twice. I just happened to look at my card, y'all. When I tell you they ran through my credit card, they ran through my bank and ruined my bank account, and the bank saw it. And I told her, I said, no, they only supposed to charge me once a week. They charged me twice. They tried to say they couldn't see the charges. They said they couldn't see the extra charges. I'm like, I'm looking at it. The bank is looking at it. Like, it shows that y'all taking out an extra $100 a week. It also shows that y'all just charged me $700 a week because the machine was automatically taking out a payment, but then the worker came behind and also charged the card, knowing that the machine automatically do it. So they was fucking me, taking my money, y'all, dragging that account to where I was like, man, come get the car. It was just too much. It was getting too expensive. It was too much. But here you go. I got another one. Now I'm with the new place. They ran my card 9 times. Ran the card 9 times, and then had to double charge me in the week to charge me almost 800 when I was only supposed to pay 300. So it's a pattern that I'm seeing in the corporations, in the institutions. So this is something that I wanted to share. This is something that I wanted to share with others because we might not always understand what COINTELPRO looks like. And when we don't understand it, when somebody is being stalked, they might just think the person is being paranoid and dismiss any concerns that they are having. It's a lot of stuff that I ain't even mentioned. I didn't mention that I keep running to the same two guys everywhere that I go. I ran into them like 4 times. I walked to Hobby Lobby. It just so happened we always cross at the same part every time. It's like he's coming towards the store and I'm walking by, or he's coming out of the store and I'm walking by. And it's two of them together, but it's only one that usually talks to me. I done moved on to the other side of town, and on the other side of town, I ran into the same two guys, and it just so happened he's at the end of the aisle staring at me, and I'm walking, and I'm like, because I'm looking at the produce, and I'm like, this can't be the guy that I keep running into. I look up again, and I'm like, I'm getting closer, and so he talks, and I'm just like, it's weird, like how we keep running into each other. But not just that. A couple of months back, there was a man when I was out walking that followed me into one of the little cattle corner things. Okay. And I just happened to be going around the corner and I looked while I was going around the curve and I seen him. And I'm like, you following me? And when I said that, he stopped going around the thing. He came and cut through and just came directly towards me. He's like, hey, I just thought you was. I'm like, sir, back up. You're following me. He's still trying to talk. And I'm like, no, like that's weird because I'm walking. That cattle corner is like a secluded area. Like it's some trees right there. It's houses there, but it's an alley right there, right? So I'm chomping this man off while I'm walking because that's weird, right? He's trying to get information, trying to talk to me. And so instead of me walking directly back home, I ended up walking. I'm like, I'm just walking. I'm walking another way because I don't even want him to know where I live. I end up going back out into the area where the cars and everybody could see me out of that area so that people can see me, at least if he was following me. And then he eventually stopped because whatever reason. But to that, to one day I was sitting in my car and this guy just pulled up to me and started talking to me. I'm like, what? It was another guy that he saw me one day, and I don't think he's kind of stalking me like the other people was, but he was coming to my apartment every day trying to get me to come outside and talk to him. I just think he was like weird. Not in the case like these other people though. These other people was just popping out of nowhere. And I mean popping out of nowhere. Like I was walking one day and this guy just like it was like, damn, these people popping out of a portal? Where are they coming from? And he was like yelling at me, trying to get me to stop to talk to him. I walked into my apartment one day with my neighbor, and the apartments already had a phone in them. As soon as we got in, the phone rang, and this guy was saying, "Hey, this is the guy that met you at McDonald's." And I'm like, "I know I ain't met nobody at McDonald's." And he's like, "Oh, talking." And he's like, "But I just seen you go into your apartment." And I'm like, "You just saw me go into my apartment?" And my neighbor looked at me and was like, "Girl, what?" So we walk out of the apartment and look around. There's nobody out there. And my apartment is facing the road. So there's no apartments on the other side of me. It's just road and it's houses, but the houses are not facing directly towards us. They're like down the streets and stuff. So that means that somebody seen me go into my apartment, but they also knew the number to the place to call. There were some other incidents that have come up that people brought to my awareness, like mentioning that somebody was saying that they might see them doing this or see them doing that, and it be somebody that they don't know. And I'm like, how do we know that they're not looking at people from our pages, or let's say even from Rakim's page, people who are friends with Rakim on social media, let's say that they did take his phone. Somebody came in the apartment or got in my car, whatever the case may be, but somebody got the phone and they're able to monitor everybody else and they're able to see what you're doing. And it's so people can say, well, we don't see the page online. They're so advanced that you can set it to where people don't see that your status is online. So somebody could literally be on his page and his status show that it's offline, and people could be being monitored. And I just wanted to bring that to the attention of people because that's something to consider. So I wanted to share some things so that it don't just sound like I'm just saying this. Because I had went and did some research because I'm just like, is this a form of COINTELPRO? And this was some of the things that I pulled up. Um, Increased scrutiny. Am I doing this? Let me do this in order. Okay. So, surveillance of financial accounts can take various forms, ranging from direct monitoring of transactions to subtle manipulations or disruptions in your financial systems. This can be a way to undermine your financial stability, discredit you, or even gain control over your assets. Here's a detailed breakdown of what financial surveillance and issues might look like. Unexplained transactions or withdrawals. Unknown charges. You may notice charges or withdrawals on your bank account or credit card accounts that you didn't authorize. Like I said, I had my card ran multiple times. I can't use the account anymore because even the new account or the new card has already been hacked. So that account is done. It ain't no returning to it because it is. If I get a new card, it's hacked already. Um, This could be a result of your accounts being compromised or your activities being monitored in such a way that someone can predict or manipulate your spending habits. Small but consistent transactions. Some individuals monitoring your finances may start with small, insignificant charges that fly under the radar, like microtransactions or unauthorized subscriptions, just to test if you're paying attention. If you don't notice and report things, they may escalate. And I've had incidents like that sometimes, but it just be like, I'm thinking it's the children. When I have stuff like that, because sometimes the children have their accounts on my things, I'm like, oh, maybe this is like a game or something that they bought. I don't know. Um, Merchant or location patterns, charges from businesses or locations that you've never visited or had dealings with could appear. These might be intentionally set up by someone who's tracking your activities. Credit report manipulation or monitoring, increased credit report checks, identity theft. Your personal information could be stolen or used to open accounts in your name. Frequent calls to your bank. If your bank is calling you more than often than usual, asking questions or bringing up transactions that seem unrelated, it could be a sign that they have been contacted by an external party for information or that there are suspicions of fraud or surveillance related to your account. One of the reasons they froze my account one day is because they said that they couldn't. The bank tried to call the apartments that I lived at to verify that I lived there. I'm not sure why the bank would need to call a third party to verify why I live where I said I live, especially when I show bills and forms of ID that showed that this is where I live. So I'm not sure why they needed to call them, but they said that they couldn't get in contact with them to verify that I stayed there. So that's why they froze my account. And I just happened to find out that my account was frozen when I went to use my card. And I was like, it should work. It was declined. And I went and looked in the bank. None of the money was available. Like the savings, the spending, all of it said zero. And I'm like, what the? I know it's money in here. So they had froze the entire account. Um, it says sudden difficulty in accessing funds or credit, frozen or restricted accounts. You may wake up to find that your bank account, credit card, or even investments have been frozen or restricted. This could happen without your knowledge, and the reasoning behind it may not immediately be clear. Financial institutions could be contacted under a false pretenses, or they could be a part of a coordinated effort to freeze your assets. Denial of credit or loans. I ain't dealt with that, but somebody else might be dealing with it. Applying for credit or loans might result in an immediate rejection, even if you've never had credit issues before. Attempts to disrupt your stream of income, sabotage of job or freelance income. If you are employed, you might find your employer becomes suddenly hostile or your work gets unjustly critiqued. This could be a result in delayed paychecks or even, did I not? Yeah, I didn't take in the whole thing. But yeah, basically anything with sabotaging your job. I've dealt with that. Like I expressed with the Wix thing, some of the things that I think I was dealing with at work, that was making it hard for me to work in the environment. Not just the incident that I gave y'all about me standing up for my rights, but even stuff like that can be like we don't understand how organized these hate groups are. You get a little too feeling yourself as a black person, and these hate groups will be gossiping about you like you gotta watch this one. You just never know. They organize on so many different levels. If you've watched what's been going on with the Carmelo Anthony case, his father is being gang stalked by several people. Like they're organized to a point where they're calling his job to have him fired to where he can't even work anymore. This is a tactic that's used to stop him from being able to provide and protect his family. Because if they can destabilize the father, they can get access to Carmelo Anthony. These people want Carmelo Anthony dead. Okay, so while everybody is going on and living their wonderful little lives, there's a child right now that's up under a witch hunt in Texas, and these people are organized and coordinated to discredit the family and work against the family so that they can find a way to get in there and break in to get that child. Okay, if they can destabilize the family and they can get the family to a level where they can exploit them, then they will come in and basically be able to get access to that child. So that's why it's important even to be able to support that family, just to understand that we are not sticking together because we just believe that, we're black and blacks guys, we're sticking together because we understand that these hate groups are very organized and they will come for us, and we got to stick together so that you know they don't isolate us and destroy us, because once they isolate you, that's when you become more vulnerable to their attacks. um Increased scrutiny, I don't know if I'm saying that right, or scrambling for documents. So requests for documents you don't remember sharing. If someone is watching you, they may contact banks, lenders, or other financial institutions asking for documents related to your accounts or transactions. If your records or documentation are scrambled or become hard to access, it can be an indicator of tampering. Increased requests for verification. If you begin to receive frequent requests for identity verification, account confirmation, or additional documents from banks or service providers that you've already verified, it might be a way to interfere with your ability to complete financial transactions. Increased verification. So one of the things that I expressed is that what I went through, uh, what I went through with the light company, they sent me around in circles talking to different people who would tell me the same thing and then tell me something different. We're waiting for this to be. I had to start putting pressure on them. I'm crying on the phone because I'm like, y'all, I got a child. Like, y'all can't get the lights on. This is supposed to be a same day service. I'm about to have to go put another light company and give them money just to get these lights on. Then they start telling me, no, it's a hole because the people that was in the apartment before you didn't pay it off. And I'm like, that's not what they told me. They told me they was waiting on this. Then I call back and I'm like, and then they say something else. And I'm like, that's not what I just heard from the last person. They told me they was going to have this on in 15 minutes. And now you telling me 48 hours. So every time I had to resubmit that, they was adding on an extra 48 hours. That's what they would start coming back. It's going to take 48 hours to review. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, do y'all not understand the severity of what I'm dealing with? I got a baby. It's 100 degrees weather out in Texas, and y'all can't get my lights back on. And y'all been holding my money for almost 3 weeks now. It's 2 weeks, going on 3 weeks when I, get back. So I'm just like, what's going on? So that's one of the things that I noticed in this while I was doing some research on COINTELPRO is the financial strain that they try to put on activists to destabilize activists to stop them from organizing. Also, it mentions social media and digital footprints. I didn't screenshot and get all the notes from this. I just got some. But then I also wanted to share this. If I can find it. Which way I gotta go? Okay, here we go. Modern COINTELPRO tactic. Modern COINTELPRO style financial tactics. Banking restrictions and account closures. Y'all can't see that, can you? But it basically says activist groups, nonprofits, or even individuals can find their bank accounts suddenly frozen or shut down, often with vague justifications about suspicious activity or compliance. Black, indigenous, immigrant, and Muslim organizations have especially reported being cut off from banking systems, making it hard to pay staff or manage donations. Business and brand sabotage. If the individual owns a business, false complaints, harassment, or online campaigns can scare away customers. Licensing boards or inspectors may suddenly appear to issue fines or shut them down. Licensing boards or inspectors may suddenly appear to issue fines or shut them down. So after I went and got my car, the night I went and got my car, I received an email from somebody saying that they were with Wix, that something on my website was flagged and it's going to stop me from getting views on my website until it's fixed. I clicked the link of what the person who told me to click it was. There's nothing there. But I just had somebody, like I said, reach out to me and said my website got flagged. Click this link. Da 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 da. This was right after I got the car back. Now they're gonna come for my business because they're trying to basically stop any forms of money that I'm getting, even with people who have supported me. And this is what I was trying to explain earlier. What, baby? You want me to take this off? No, okay, I'm gonna go find it. Okay. Okay? But even with family and how certain attacks was happening on my family and members, they could have begun to have financial problems that were set up by COINTELPRO on purpose because, come on. Okay, we're gonna go. Let's go. But they could have had these things issued or done on purpose because that would have been my financial support. So any effort to stop me from getting any financial support, they could have even targeted family members or friends or used them in a form to discourage me from supporting me in the future. Okay, another one. Huh? Okay, let's go. Okay, come on, let's go get it. Okay, another one is harassment through financial stress. Identity theft, credit fraud, or suspicious charges to entangle them in financial messes. Anonymous tips to landlords, bill collectors, or insurers that trigger extra costs or cancellations, which that could have been the reason that my landlord was giving me problems. Not necessarily that they're the Fed, but because somebody could be calling them or somebody could be asking them to work with them on something. We don't know who getting paid. Even with my lawyers, they bid it low in my case. We don't know who's getting paid to try to sabotage me. Pushing them to constant housing or transportation instability, forcing money to be spent on survival instead of activism. I'm gonna have to finish this up and come back to it. But I was gonna finish it up anyways. But that's one of the last things that I wanted to share. Come on, Justice. Okay. But that's one of the things that I wanted to share. Justice, please stop crying, girl. It's not that serious. Come on. Come on, let me finish this, okay? It's not going to take me that long at all. I probably got like 5 minutes. But that's the other thing. Justice, come on. That I wanted to share. What is it that you want? A what? I don't even know what that is. You gotta have to show me, okay? Can you show me? Because I have no idea what that is that you're saying. Okay. Um, let's go get it. Come on, show me where it's at. It's in the car. Okay, we'll go to the car in a minute. Would you like a snack? You want okay, well calm down. Let me finish this. It ain't gonna take about 5 minutes. Sorry y'all. I really need to close this out because she gonna keep crying, but I do need to finish this video out. So the last thing is I'm gonna have to let her cry it out for just a second. Pushing them to constant housing or transportation instability, forcing money to be spent on survival instead of activism. That would explain why I keep having car problems as far as them taking the car, as well as the car places running my money up, like running my credit card up to where I can't use it anymore, messing up my bank accounts. The car companies constantly running the card. They are doing that so that I won't be able to have a car or be able to afford a car just to stay stable, as well as housing. Like I've had to move several times just because I've been in an accident. I'm trying to get back stable from that accident. The effect is that all of this keeps an activist or community leader financially unstable, always scrambling to cover basics, distracted, focusing on money stress instead of movement work, discredited. Supporters may believe they are mismanaging money and exhausted, drained by legal battles and survival costs. So I'm going to end it there. There is a video that I want to add on to this that's going to be in the link that I really want y'all to watch after you watch this, because it will explain more of what I'm saying so that what I'm saying don't sound like I'm just being paranoid. But I'll need family, friends, community, activists, anybody to watch this so that we can kind of understand what's going on, so that we can know how to move forward. Because even if you are associated with me, have been associated with me, you may also be targeted and may not actually know what's going on. And some of this can be to target you to stop you from supporting the actual movement, because they may think you sending me money or whatever the case may be. But also not just because you're supporting the movement or your finances, but even to protect your own life, because there have been cases where activists or people supporting them have died. And like I've expressed before, I've had some weird deaths that have come up around me that are unexplainable. And they ain't just like, oh, somebody got shot. It's like somebody died while after their car got broke down. Somebody died in a house fire where they was locked in the room. So these are incidents that are very questionable, and I need people to be, aware of their surroundings as well, and to kind of understand so that they can kind of work to protect themselves, not to be in fear or to isolate yourself, but to learn how to coordinate and protect yourself. And sometimes the best way to do that is being around your people, being in the community or whatever the case may be, and just being kind of aware and being smarter than the system. But I'm actually going to post the links, which are security. It is security culture. And I really need everybody to check that out. All right. So thank y'all for listening in, and I hope y'all have a wonderful day. I got to get to my baby. Bye-bye.